Good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Let's Talk 3.0. Tonight, with our guests, we shed the light on some of the most hot topics about blockchain, metaverse, Web3, virtual real estate, and fashion. With us now, our guest Vasilisa Marinchuk, who is the Director of International Relations at Center Blockchain of Catalonia and the Head of Partnerships at BSV MENA Hub. Welcome, Vasilisa, and thank you for joining us here today at Let's Talk 3.0.
Hi, and thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here today with you.
It's our pleasure as well. Vasilisa, we'll start with one of the most basic questions, actually. As someone with extensive experience in operational excellence and process optimization, can you tell us a little bit what blockchain technology is, in your own words?
Right. So that's an interesting question. I mean, you can go as deep as you want or be like on the surface as you wish. So let's start with explaining what the blockchain, like on the basics. It's a distributed ledger technology in which transactions are conducted in a peer-to-peer network and then broadcasted to the entire set of participants in the system, which means that, in other words, blockchain is a constantly growing database or a registry of persistent records that are updated sequentially and stored in a decentralized manner. What I mean by that is that none of the participants has the ability to control or make changes to the existing registry or these entries which were made there. And every participant stores the entire database, which brings us to a very interesting conclusion that blockchain is a game-changing technology because it gives us an opportunity, us as a humanity, to have our records stored in transparent, secure, and immutable way, which we never had before. So if I will continue saying that the power of decentralization in this case allows us to store anything in the world like we had before, which we cannot destroy or alter anymore, like before. You print a book, then you can make edits and you reprint it. In this case, it's just impossible. There's always going to be a threat which will say, there were changes, that was done. This is the original. You can always go back and check the original. And this is just amazing.
Okay, and so there are different types of blockchains, right? Like, can you briefly tell our audience the difference between those types?
Well, yeah, sure. There are many different blockchain protocols, right? And I would even say that from time to time, the new ones are popping up like mushrooms after the rain, because people still trying to do something better. They're trying to innovate. But I always believe in more like classification, just to make it more clear, like what things are. So the first way you can look into different blockchains is, of course, based on the consensus mechanism, which is used behind. The consensus itself allows the blockchain miners or verifiers to make sure that all the transactions or records which are coming into the blockchain when the block is formed are correct. So in that way, we normally define the two major ones: proof of work versus proof of stake. Of course, there is something in between. The new ones are popping up, but it's not really important for the basic understanding. To give you an understanding of proof of work, so in case of proof of work, we're working with miners. So the computers of those miners, they're trying to solve a very complicated mathematical puzzle in order to be able to form a block. The one who gets the puzzle done first is the winner. He can verify the block, he can create the block, put it on the blockchain for the rest of the participants to verify that the solution is correct, and that's why the block is formed correctly. And he also gets a reward. In the other hand, on the proof of stake side, we don't use these massive machines. We don't use the electricity or whatever people usually call it, not a very environmentally friendly things. Instead, it uses their economical power. So those who hold in tokens of the particular protocol, the more tokens he has, there is like a random machine inside of the protocol which decides who is going to be the verifier this time. And basically, the more tokens you have, the more economical power you have inside of that, the higher is the probability that it's going to be you this time. So it's not going to be always 100%, but like if you have, I know, 30% of all the tokens, probably in 30% of the cases, you're going to be rewarded and you're going to be the one who is getting the opportunity to verify the block. And the change here is the reward. In this case, I'm actually incorrectly calling it a reward, because basically this is the commission for the transactions. It's the transaction fees which verifier is getting in that case. But it's the one way to look into this. There is another way. So I'm trying not to be too boring, but is the way the blockchain is organized. Is it public or private? So we've been talking about decentralization before with you, but blockchains can be used in a different manner. So most of the blockchains we know, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, many others, Solana, whatever, what they claim is that they are public blockchains. What that means is literally like anybody can become a participant. Anybody can verify transactions. Anybody can have a wallet. Anybody can participate in the network, develop on the network, and do stuff. In case of the private blockchains, which are normally guarded, like say governments are interested in that, like big corporations, they say, no, we don't want to be on the public one. We want to be on the private one. In this case, there is a centralized body who will decide who is going to be able to have the nodes, who can be the verifiers. So,
based on that, do you think there's any downsides for the blockchain technology?
Well, I wouldn't say it's downsides in the same thing. I would say that blockchain technology, I'm a big fan of it, and I'm preaching for it at all times. It has its, it needs to work with the other technologies. The biggest problem, which I personally see, and I will not go into this talks about decentralization, centralization, different protocols, some issues which can be fixed. It's normal, it's evolving technology. The biggest problem usually with the blockchain, no matter how immutable transactions are in the blockchain, no matter how secure they are in the blockchain, the problem is in the beginning. Who puts the transaction into the blockchain? So if by default, I will write on the blockchain something which is a fake news, for example, right? So I will say that something is true when it's not. And it's going to be written on the blockchain, and everybody can see it, and everybody can verify it, and everybody can, store it forever. But original information wasn't correct. And that brings us to the point when we need to make sure that the entrance of the data is also immutable and correct. In this case, we can use AI. We can use some other technologies to make sure that it's correct. So, for example, when we talk about usage of the blockchain in logistics, right, and we are tracking the information of particular product, whatever, how it was delivered, let's say the fish, which can be easily get rotten, right, very quickly. So we need to know exactly when it was caught, how it went somewhere, and anything. And it shouldn't be me or you entering this data in the blockchain. No, because it can be easily, like, you can bribe me, and and I will put whatever you want, right? Not me personally, but anyways, the person, right? But if that's all done with the AI technology or with some sensors, which are agnostic, they see and they just correct. They just write it down. Then it becomes a very powerful tool together.
I think it would be very interesting to have you as our guest on the next episode, talking more into details about the relationship of blockchain and artificial intelligence. That would be a very interesting topic, and we'd love to have you again. Thank you so much, Vasilisa, for your time. And
that would be my pleasure, of course. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much, Vasilisa. Thank you so much.